Have a great special guest with us right here, Michigan Governor candidate Patrick Colbeck. Patrick Colbeck, how you doing, sir?
Great to be with you, Federico. How are you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Glad you could come join us, talk to us in my little podcast here. Before we start talking about your candidacy, I understand you have a new book out called Wrestling Gators, An Outsider's Guide to Join the Swamp. You mind telling our listeners a little bit about it?
Yeah, actually, a lot of people have received it quite well already. It's a #1 bestseller in 2 different categories on Amazon.com already, and we haven't even started advertising, so I appreciate the shout-out. It's talking about how government really works on the inside, and it goes into detail on a lot of different policy issues as well, and talks about how we can restore respect back for our system of government and get it back working the way it's supposed to work. I'm an engineer at heart, and so the whole idea of this is kind of our operating manual, if you will, for how to use our government the way it's supposed to be used, instead of how a lot of these swamp creatures are actually using it in our many state capitals and frankly in D.C. All across this nation.
Okay, that's great. The name is Wrestling Gators, An Outsider's Guide to Join the Swamp. It's available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and all that. I recommend you guys check it out. Now, with your governor's race in Michigan, what's the most important issue that's going on in Michigan right now?
Well, there's quite a few of them, but I think in Michigan, a lot of people are frustrated by the condition of our roads. A lot of people have been thinking of roads as a jobs program instead of as a public service. So as a result, they haven't really concerned themselves with the quality of the roads. We actually had a road segment on a major interstate here in Michigan that was paved about 4 weeks ago, and 2 weeks later, it was tore up and repaved. And I think that's got the record as the shortest lifespan of any road here in the state. But it's something that people are a little fed up with, and it's a symptom of government working for purposes that are not in the best interest of the people.
Now, every single state's having an issue with roads and transportation. Do you think that has something to do with the abusive power of the Interstate Highway Commission and the federal government intervening in highways across the states?
Well, a lot of times, a lot of our roads are built in accordance with Federal Highway Administration specifications, and so that sometimes does lend itself to constraints that maybe overly constrain the types of advanced construction methods that we might be able to entertain. But even within that, though, there's a lot of state flexibility that's not being taken advantage of, and it really comes down to the fact that they really, truly are looking at this as a jobs program, a la Keynesian economics, as opposed to actually providing a public service, which means that we should have the opportunity to drive down the road without seeing an orange barrel every once in a while.
No, correct. I do agree. I mean, I could give the best example of it compared to the Florida's Turnpike, which is a private road, and I-95, which is a federal state road. It's still, even there's some state highways in Florida that do tend to be much better than the federal government's roads. So I think that's also, it's a big abuse of a central power.
Yeah, well, to put it into context, my wife's mom's from Germany, and one of the first things that she said when she came over to America back when she was a little teenager, she said, "What's the deal with all these orange barrels?" And so we're going to try to fix that in Michigan, but it relates to the side of the government as well, because what happens whenever you run into a problem like fixing the roads, or we have auto insurance, we have other issues with Medicaid budgets in the state of Michigan. Almost always what they do is they focus on increasing taxes and increasing fees and throwing more money out of your wallet into the problem, instead of actually looking at ways to fix it more effectively or more efficiently. As a matter of fact, when I first got elected into office, they sent us to this legislative boot camp, and they paraded all these experts to all these different policy issues, and every single solution to these policy issues dealt with increasing taxes or fees. And it just feeds the monster. In the case of the book, I mean, it feeds the swamp. It sets it up so that the only way you can go off and fix things in government is, according to these experts, is to increase taxes and fees. Well, people out in the real world know that there's other ways of going off and solving problems as well. You can't always go off and ask your boss for a raise if you want to go off and do something with the family and where you've got additional expenses. You can't, if you're a business owner, you can't always go off and ask your customers for higher prices on your goods. Sometimes you actually have to look at the expense line items in your business. And government never seems to look at the expense side of the general ledger, and that's one of the things I hope to change with the next governor of Michigan.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. And you are absolutely right. You know, right now people think tax and spend and mostly tax, will actually solve everything, and that's not exactly. And that's one of the issues that I also want to bring up is, this 16th Amendment to our U.S. Constitution is a sanctioned robbery that gives leeway to state officials and federal officials that they can tax the citizens' incomes for no apparent reason and no accountability.
Exactly. And you're actually taxing the producers in society too, which is something that is, you're actually disincentivizing people to go off to work. Whenever you put a tax on something, you are acting as a disincentive towards that activity. Now, I'm actually got a plan in Michigan to eliminate the state personal income tax altogether, which leaves the federal income tax. But at least we're doing it the right way, hopefully at the state level, if I get into office.
Well, that's good. That's great because I think states can flourish more when when you don't have that stranglehold onto the taxpayer and to the citizen, and that would contribute more to the citizens and the well-beings of the state and all that. So that's great that you got a perfect plan to get rid of your state income tax or reduce it. But that's great. Another issue that I want to touch base with you is back in 2012, I was surprised Michigan that they passed a right to work law.
Yeah.
Now, right to work law, for listeners that don't understand that, it's not anti-union. It's not union bashing. It's simply giving the worker, the American worker, the choice to, pay dues or not pay dues as a condition of employment if they choose so fit. So has that been a good thing for the state of Michigan?
Oh, absolutely. And by the way, to your point, I didn't call it right to work when I was promoting it. I called it workers' choice, and which is more apt, as you described. It's been phenomenal for Michigan. If you actually look at our employment figures in the private sector in Michigan, it has a little hockey stick inflection point right around the passage of right to work. And it's no doubt in my mind that that's been the key to our economic recovery. We used to be the bottom dweller in unemployment rates in the whole country. Now we're routinely around the national average, which is amazing. We used to be written off as a Rust Belt state. Now we're actually growing. I got 31,000 job openings in my district now that I can't fill because we didn't have enough people because we shipped them out to other states back in we call it the lost decade under Governor Jennifer Granholm.
Well, that's great. No, that's absolutely right. I mean, before Michigan did not have a right to work law and had a lot of union influence, all those auto factories that were producing great American cars were shipped to Mexico. Now, with not only right to work states in southern states, but also in the Midwest states, Michigan, Wisconsin, Indiana, all those auto factories can, reestablish what they lost and come back and regain those jobs that were once lost in those states. So I was quite amazed also in West Virginia as well. And I think West Virginia has done wonders with this law.
I know. Well, I actually helped a lot of the legislators in a lot of those other states. Once we got it passed in Michigan, they're saying, well, if Michigan can pass right to work, then what can't we do? I actually am the only Republican senator from Wayne County, which is the birthplace of the UAW. So the idea that we push this there is pretty important because it was, as you alluded to at the beginning here, it's in favor of the rank and file. all this does is give them a choice. And if their union's representing them well, they'll stay in the union. If their union, however, is playing politics and pushing political issues that are not consistent with their beliefs, and if they're not looking out for their best interests, well, you know what? That's something we got to go off and fix. And now they have the power to go on, with the power of the purse, to go off and hopefully do a little bit of attitude correction with some of their union management. And I got to tell you, for my governor's race, I was one who led this past Right to Work. I've got union people all over the state that are supporting me, which is counter to the narrative you're going to hear in the media. But I've got whole UAW locals supporting me where, you know, you'd never think that would happen. But it's a matter of people are just looking for straight talk. They're looking for people that are promoting freedom. And it's been a very popular issue here.
Well, great. And I'm glad that a lot of union workers, which that's the difference. Union workers tend to be more self-conscious about their money than union officials. Union officials, there's a difference right there. Union officials vote liberal, vote Democrat. Union workers vote more conservatively, more Republican.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting. We had a gentleman had my bumper sticker up in the Upper Peninsula on his vehicle, and this guy pulled up to him at the gas station, ran up to him and said, "Listen, that's the guy I'm voting for. Colbeck's the guy I'm voting for." And he goes, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, not only am I voting for him, my whole GM UAW local is voting for him." He goes, "Well, really?" He goes, "Yeah, they told us to vote for Hillary in the last election. We all voted for President Trump. And this election, they're telling us to vote for one of the Democrat candidates, Gretchen Whitmer, but we're all voting for Colbeck." And it's really refreshing to see that kind of independent streak going on right now in some of our union brethren.
Well, that's great. I feel great that you've got a lot of union workers support. That is outstanding. And one more subject I'd like to touch base with you in dealing with Michigan. I mean, as governor, if you become governor of Michigan, and I hope you do, what would you do?
Good.
Say again?
It's looking good.
I'm glad. I'm wishing you all the best, sir. But if you do become the next governor of the great state of Michigan, what would you do to reduce the influence of the central government and give more power back to the state of Michigan?
Well, ultimately, it comes down to living within your means. If you analyze the Michigan state budget, the last budget we passed out, 42% of the money of our $56.7 billion budget or whatever comes from the federal government. 51% of the controlling share, right? 42% is at least an influential share. So what you've got to do is start looking at ways to cut that influence. And one of the biggest areas, which is central to my platform on how to eliminate the state personal income tax, is to look at some of the larger line items that require federal funding, like Medicaid program. We get about $12 billion out of our budget from the feds on that. I want to push for Medicaid block grants where we have additional flexibility. We cut all the strings from the federal government, which actually in many cases drive us to spend more on Medicaid than we need to provide good quality care, and that actually prevents us from getting people on Medicaid the quality care that they need. So that's one area where we can start with a little bit of an attitude adjustment with the Fed, saying, you know, just leave it to us. You guys kicked off this program. We got a better way of delivering it, and give us that flexibility to do so.
Okay. No, that's great because, I hope that your two U.S. senators, I am unfamiliar to them right now.
It's Stabenow and Peters, and hopefully Stabenow is replaced with either John James or Sandy Pensler.
Okay. Yeah. Right now, I mean, I know Stabenow is a Democrat. I'm not sure the other one. What?
Peters is a Democrat.
Oh, okay. Democrats. So you're both parts of Republican. You know, it's ironic that the Democratic Party once supported states' rights in the sense of not repealing the 17th and not adding the 17th Amendment, and now they're all for big government and really a destruction of the American Republic. And I really do want to see senators work well with the governors and with the state legislatures, how it was before 1913.
By the way, thank you for saying American Republic.
Yeah.
I appreciate that because a lot of people are pushing the notion that we're a democracy, and I was involved in trying to make sure that Michigan social studies standards are politically neutral and accurate. And one of the key points was, what do you call our form of government? And now the textbooks say democracy, and I'm going, wait a second, guys. What are you basing that on? And I go, we're actually a republic. Look at Article 4, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution. Guarantees a Republican form of government. Look at our Pledge of Allegiance. Do we say we pledge to the democracy of the United States? No, it's to the Republic. You can talk about Ben Franklin, too. So thank you very much for calling us a republic.
Well, I keep saying it in my show that this country was based on the Roman Republic, a representative form of republic of legislators.
It's not to say we don't have democratic processes. We do.
We do.
Elections and we have ballot proposals, but that's the exception, not the rule. The rule is we elect people to represent us.
Correct.
Res publica, representative of the people. That's a Latin form, and we're bound by the confines of the Constitution. We can't do whatever the heck we want. We actually have to abide by this social compact called the Constitution. So we're trying to get our kids in Michigan to realize we are living in a constitutional republic, not a democracy. And a lot of the Democrats have trouble with that because they see democracy as a term related to the Democratic Party, and they've been pushing that brand for a while.
No, that is absolutely correct. That is absolutely correct, and I really don't like it when senators who tend to who have to represent their state are speaking for other states, and I find that really insulting. I mean, you've been elected or appointed by the state of California, by the state of New York. Represent your state, and that's the key. We are a representative republic. On one section, we have representatives, which is the People's House, the U.S. House, and the other one is representative for the states. So regardless if you're elected by the people or not, you have to represent the state. So when I see Senator Kamala Harris or Senator Schumer or Senator Rubio speak for other people across this land, that really upsets me because you're not representing the people of Montana. You're representing the people of Florida.
That's why 17th Amendment should go bye-bye.
Absolutely. We should really nullify that amendment if we can, but okay. And do you have any other issues you'd like to touch base around, Mr. Colbeck?
Well, I think overall there's an issue where a lot of people across the country have lost appreciation for our system of government. We've got 65% of our high school graduates now thinking that socialism is better than capitalism, which is why I got involved in our social studies standards to make sure we recalibrate that. I don't think we're teaching our kids what it means to be an American. And you may notice from the public discourse that there seems to be a lot of divide out there. The United States of America doesn't seem so united anymore. And the key to getting us united is to restore an appreciation for those core values that are embodied in our Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that we're all created equal, we're all endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, and among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We can't even get people to agree on those core values anymore, and I think that's because we've forgotten about it in our education system.
Well, let's hope that it all starts in Michigan with you, sir, and other people will realize what a great job you're doing in your state, and let's hope they apply it in other states. Sadly, maybe California won't get there, or New York, or New Jersey, but let's hope they do listen to you and get out there, because you're right. We have to educate our kids of what this country really means, and that we're all equal. We're all equal under the law, no matter what.
Absolutely. Well, folks want to help me carry the torch here in Michigan, because if we do things right in Michigan, it will carry forward into other states like it has with Right to Work, like it has with some of my free market healthcare reforms. You can help us out at colbeckforgovernor.com. I'm not the special interest darling here in Michigan, which means that everything we do it that we have to work twice as hard to get the exposure. So anything you can do to help us out in our campaign trail would be great. That's colbeckforgovernor.com.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, listen very carefully. Take a quick look at his website and his book, colbeckforgovernor.com, and his great book, Wrestling Gators, An Outsider's Guide to Drain the Swamp, available at Amazon right now. Mr. Colbeck, thank you very much for this wonderful interview. I really had fun, and I wish you all the best, sir, and I hope you do get in. Do stay in touch.
All right. Thank you very much, Federico. Keep up the good work and keep burning that torch of liberty brightly for everybody. Okay?
All right. You too, and me, and me too, sir. Thank you very much.
All right. Not going to lie.
Have a great day, sir. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here. Michigan Governor candidate Patrick Colbeck, colbeckforgovernor.com. Check it out. He's a great man for liberty, a great man for this republic, and a great man for the state of Michigan. Check out his book, Wrestling Gators, An Outsider's Guide to Drain the Swamp. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you will take a look at his website and his book, and have yourself a great Saturday. Thank you very much. For states' rights, always. Thank you. All right, I think it was good. Oh.